paano matutulungan ng mga Pilipino umaaray na sa taas ng presyo ng bilihin?
Yes, of course, the inflation rate is a problem, not only in the Philippines, but everywhere. Our inflation rate, anong pinag na inflation rate?
Right now,
What did you...
6.1.
6.1? I think that I will have to disagree with that number. We are not that high. We have crossed our targets were less 4% or less. Unfortunately, it looks like we may cross that threshold. Tatawid tayo sa 4%. That's why again we have to think about interest rate levels. But there is a conflicting force in that exchange rate levels. The United States, the dollar, has gained against all currencies. So the dollar has gained against all currencies. The specific effect is that it actually will start to be part of it will be part of the components of the inflation. So we are having to be careful because essentially our economic policy right now, our monetary policy right now is essentially to use interest rates to control the inflation rate. We are not looking specifically to the exchange rates. Now, what we are talking about, what we are targeting is the inflation rate. So that's what we are doing. The increase in commodity prices are again something that happens. That the forces that have pushed the commodity prices up are again beyond our control. Much of our inflation is actually imported inflation. It is important because it is the inflation on the products that have suffered inflation that we import. So sumama na yung inflation nila dun sa atin. So we have to when we analyze, we have to make those categorical differences so that we better understand really what the situation is. Good. I'm glad you asked. We just discussed that we are going to try not only to continue the fuel subsidies for the transport sector, but to expand it to include the tricycles, which up to now have not been included. And so we talked about in the cabinet meeting, we talked about the funding, where it can come from, and how we are going to manage the the funding for the additional fuel subsidies. We have enough budget, I think, to last for most of this, for this year and a little bit beyond. But we still have to find that. We have to find that money if we're going to continue. The Libreng Sakay, what we have done is we will continue the Libreng Sakay. But we are going to stop the Libreng Sakay in MRT 3. We will transfer the Libreng Sakay to students. Sorry, I think I'm doing this wrong. Libreng Sakay continues as is. That continues. But what we are going to do is we are going to do a program for the students, because if they come in, we will fully subsidize first their pamasahe. We'll phase it out because we cannot afford to keep that going. But students will ride for free on LRT 2, which is going to the university belt. So yes, so that's what we are. We extended fuel subsidy, and we moved the subsidy the subsidy for riders to the LRT to assist our students who are coming back in September. Thank you. Thank you.
Bettina Unipe, Manila Bulletin. The question was, is there an immediate directive from the President after the DOH reported more than 7,000 cases of COVID-19 in the past week?
Yes. So far, I think we are still, because if we look at where we started, we still have the capability to handle the new COVID cases. Luckily, when we should not look at the number of COVID cases in the same way as we looked at them in 2020 and 2021, because this is this is Omicron. This is Omicron. Omicron is very different. It's a little contagious, but it does not hit us hard. In fact, the general experience has been people are down maybe for 2, maybe 3 days. And that's like flu. It's like having flu. So we are getting to that point where we are learning to live with the coronavirus, specifically with the Omicron variant and the other variants that are coming. Because of this, though, the science has come back to us that for the original variants, mga alpha, yung una, 2020, okay na to have the 2 doses. That gives you good immunity. But with Omicron, you apparently need a third dose, which is a booster dose. So we will be encouraging that, especially for younger people, because again, we have to be concerned about their return to school. So that's the general policy. We will reinstitute again the vaccination drive, so that we can at least feel safer when the children go back to school. It has been used. Importation has been used as a price stabilization measure. I don't think that is the primary reason for the importation that we'll do now. As a matter of fact, we are going to try. I think we will do it in the Department of Agriculture to boost production of rice and corn in the coming 2 quarters, hanggang Pasko, until after Christmas. Again, because there are several reasons for that. The reasons of rice and corn. Corn especially became very important because the feed wheat that we were importing, na-cut off ang supply natin. So we have to substitute it with corn. This season, the corn growers were able to come together and provide sufficient feed for the broiler production. But we still have to increase production of corn to ensure that supply, because there's corn for food and there's corn for feed. So if we are able to increase production sufficiently, then hopefully the importations. We really do not want. It's not really an import substitution measure. It is a strategic food supply measure. But of course, if it's nagkaka-import substitution, that's not necessarily a bad thing. So that's the plan. Ang sa protein side, yun medyo tayo pilit tayo, because when it comes to pork, yung ASF talaga natin hindi natin makontrol for various reasons. So we still have to import a lot of the pork products, not necessarily but on the broiler side, for the chicken production, broiler production, we will also still have to import, because nagka-problema na naman tayo sa feed. Nagkaka-problema na naman tayo sa food supply nung mga yung production natin is not sufficient again. And that's why this is really the reason. If you look at it, our production is not sufficient in pala, it's not sufficient in corn, it's not sufficient in livestock, it's not sufficient in fisheries. That is why I made agriculture the highest priority of everything that we are doing. Because you cannot build a strong economy unless you have a foundation of a robust agricultural sector, which assures food supply even in emergencies. And that's what we're working towards. Yan yung mga long term. Yung mga short term, yung sinasabi ko, increase production for the rest of the year, sabulin natin yung last planting for this year. They will mill siguro, they will harvest soon, they will harvest towards the end of the year, they will mill soon after that. So baka mahabol natin yung food supply problem doon. But still, those are short-term solutions. We need long-term solutions, solutions that can take care of this problem. We no longer take care of the symptoms, we take care of the disease. And that's what we're trying to do in Agri. We have a ways to go. There are elements kasi ng value chain na nandyan eh. Pero they're not part of a process. They exist standalone sila lahat. So, yan ang gusto natin gawin, buuhin natin yon para may savings yan eh. When you vertically integrate, to use the technical term, when you vertically integrate, ang daming savings all along the line. And that's hopefully gets to the point that we can retail these agricultural products. Thank you all very much. I hope we were able to answer at least some of your questions. Maraming salamat.